Hey guys, Matt Allen here. Welcome back to Tactical Bass, and today we are out doing some winter bass fishing on a brand new lake. Come along, let's go figure them out. Tim and I have still got a list of hundreds of lakes that we want to try in this half of the country. So today I decided to just drop in on a new one. It's cold. It was 18 degrees when I left the house, 22 degrees when I put the boat in the water, and I just made about a 5 or 6 mile run. It is brisk. The lake where I'm at here, I'm looking at probably 6 to 8 feet of visibility. Where I launched, not even an inch. So there's clear water and muddy water. It should be a really interesting day. Water temp is about 43 degrees where I'm at here. It is pretty chilly. However, on a, well, sort of positive note, the camera was not on and I just stuck my first fish of the day. It was about a 3 1/4 to 3.5 pound spotted bass. A really nice fish, and I'm really bummed you guys didn't see it. He ate the jackhammer. I was reeling the jackhammer along. I'm working my way into the back of this creek pocket. My thinking being, I'm on a new lake. Part of the lake is chocolate milk. It's been raining recently. Obviously, there's water flowing in. So I thought I'd run to the back of a creek to start to see if some fish had gathered up. I was winding the chatterbait. I looked at my Mega Live, and I saw a bass. I killed it, let it fall to bottom, hopped it twice, and he ate it. It was just a total bonus fish as I was working my way into the back of the creek. Again, I don't know the area, so I didn't want to run in here on pad and maybe hit something, but hopefully we're off to a strong start. Nice little spotted bass. Nowhere near the size of the other one, but we'll take him. Interesting, this fish, see how he's all lit up, bright colors? Like he's been living in clear water. The first one I caught was completely washed out, totally dull. So either the back of that creek we were in had been muddy and then cleared up, or maybe that fish had come up out of deep water. This fish looks like he's been living in clear water. He ate that 2.8 Kitech. I'm going down a bluff wall. The boat's in about 45 feet of water, and I'm just slow dropping it down the wall. You know, we talk a lot in winter about how fish will pull to that outside rock structure, and that's what this is. It's an outer bluff wall, and I just wanted to see what my options are. That main lake, I drove around a little bit more, is so muddy. I mean, zero viz, and it's cold water. That's brutal conditions. So I'm trying to piece together what I can. So far it looks like there's 2 creek arms that still have clear water. That's where we are right now. We're just gonna keep trying. I talk a lot about the 2.8 Kitech kind of being my panic button bait. It just catches fish. Now what I'm doing today, right now, is I'm penduluming it down the wall. So what I'm doing is I'm staying out a ways because I have a pretty limited area to fish before I hit the mud line. So I don't want to sit right up parallel to the wall and spook fish out. So I'm sitting way out, throwing it up there, and I'm letting it hit bottom. And this is only an 1/8 ounce. It's really lightweight. Once it hits bottom, I give it a couple handle turns just to get tight, and that lifts it off the bottom, and then the bait will pendulum on its own. It just hit bottom again. Couple turns, and I let it fall again. So it hits bottom, I reel it out, and then I let it fall. It hits, I reel it out, and I let it fall. And I'm just slow working my way down that sheer wall. So the bait is almost always swimming downhill while I'm doing this. And it's a really effective way because I don't have any history here. I don't know if these fish are gonna be sitting in 10 to 15. I don't know if they're gonna be sitting in 30 to 40. I have no idea what they're up to. So this is an effective way that I can stay back, not spook them, and I can fish the entire water column all the way down that wall until I can sort of develop a pattern. That last fish, I'd say he bit in probably 20 foot. My first fish, the one I caught on the chatterbait, he was in 12 foot. So different situations, although that first fish was in the back of a pocket. Now I'm out on bluff walls just around the corner from the main lake. But again, stepping down these walls is a great way to fish the entire water column and try to figure out how these fish are positioning. Nice. It's another spotted bass. Very interesting. That one, he ate the A-rig. I'm in the clearest water that I can find, so I went with the non-bladed, fishing those 13 swim baits on the back. Super subtle, super slow rolling. Again, water in the 40s, low 40s. Just everything is subtle, little pops, getting that rig to spread, and it worked. Let's take a second here and talk muddy water. I want to explain the decisions I'm making because I think you can apply this to your lakes and it will make a huge difference for you. So I'm sure you've noticed to this point, I have said several times that this lake is completely blown out and chocolate milk, and I am cowering, I am hiding in the only clear water I can. So far we've caught 3 fish. 2 came out of the ends of laydowns, one on the chatterbait, one on the A-rig. 1 came off a bluff wall. I just pulled up on another bluff. I'm about to fish this, but I want to explain why I'm doing that. I've been very limited in where I can fish because I'm trying to stay in that clear water. So, muddy water. The clearer the lake, when it flushes with muddy water, so the more extreme the transition from clear to muddy, the more intense the fish's reaction. But as a general rule, if your water temp is below 50 degrees and you get a flush of muddy water, the bite gets tough. The only consistent pattern I have, lake to lake, fishery to fishery, when it gets like that is to flip wood, right up against wood. I like to take a jig and just be really methodical about it. The reason why we're not doing that here, I came prepared for that. The reason why we're not doing it is because there's about 50,000 laydowns in this lake. There are so many laydowns, it's incredible. And flipping, being methodical, right up against cover in that muddy water takes a long time. It may take 5, 6, 7 flips around a single laydown, laydown after laydown after laydown. So with no background whatsoever on where these fish are in this lake and how they behave, that's not a viable option. We could flip all day and just never even get on good water. So instead, I chose to go to the clear water and to just do what I could. It's working. I mean, it's not a slam dunk. We're not crushing them, but it is working. Hopefully I can get another fish or 2. And then here's my actual Hail Mary. Here's what we're going to do. I said, hang on, I'm gonna drop the talons here. Before we end up on the bank, I said below 50 degrees muddy water gets tough. Above 50 degrees, muddy water can be a blast. Fish tend to get really shallow in it. They tend to get aggressive and feed hard. The problem is the water here today is cold. However, muddy water warms up much faster than clear water. Clear water has no sediment in it, so it just takes longer to warm up. So my water temps right now are all the way up to 46 degrees here in the clear water. So my hope for today is that in another hour or two, we're gonna take a Hail Mary. We might just totally blank all afternoon. That could be how that plays out. But we're going to take a shot. If it's 46 here, it's possible that we can get some warmer water this afternoon with that sun beating down. Some of that muddy water could get warm enough for fish to push up. So I've already got this one sitting here waiting, right? Bright, bold. We're going up in that zero viz, shallow, and see if we can't get some fish out of it in the afternoon when the air temps get comfortable and the water temps rise. So that's the actual plan for today. You should apply that to your fisheries as well, because we all face muddy water. If you know it well, pick that wood apart. If you don't, wait for those water temps to get up and then just go to town, cover in water, trying to get some good bites, because they can be really, really good bites in that murky stuff. There's one. Interesting that both of the fish in the laydowns were drastically bigger than the fish that were out here on the bluff walls. Wonder if that's random. We haven't caught enough yet to know, but it's interesting that those two were, I mean, drastically bigger than these outside fish. All right, we just got out on the main lake. Look at the watercolor difference. I mean, it's maybe an inch of visibility, maybe. The water temp is 47, 48. It's honestly, we're a couple of weeks early for this pattern to really fly, and the water's a little too cold. I think it's a Hail Mary that may or may not happen, but I'm gonna take a crack at this muddy water because we're here. Let's give it a try. I got hit. Oh, and I see him. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap it up here. The muddy water did not pan out for me. Now, that said, I did have some interactions. I never would have even known if I didn't have live on, but because I had that running, I did have two fish chase the chatterbait up to the boat, and I had one chase the spinnerbait the entire cast. I couldn't believe that that fish didn't commit to that thing. It followed it all the way to the trolling motor. So because I knew that, I tied on the A-rig, a bladed A-rig, which I don't really throw an A-rig in muddy water a lot, but you can. And I picked that up and had one just donk, just knock it and just not hook up. But then after that, nothing. I think realistically, I'm a couple weeks ahead of schedule for that pattern on this body of water. My water temp back here in the chocolate milk is 47.8. I mean, it's still just a little too cold, but I'm really close. The fish were starting to show up here. They just weren't up and feeding and going crazy like you would like. Now, just a couple more things about muddy water fishing for you, and then we'll wrap this up. I think one of the biggest mistakes people make in general is that when they see muddy water, they go to the extreme. And what I mean by that is, you know, that guy right there, as opposed to this guy right here. Both are great muddy water baits. What you have to apply, the information you need to know about your lake is how clear is your lake on a good day. And that makes all the difference in the world. If your lake normally has 15 feet of visibility and it suddenly goes to 1 foot of visibility, the brighter, the bolder, the most aggressive colors you can get, chartreuses, whites, day glow orange, red, bold, bold colors. But if your lake is normally, you know, 4, 5, 6 feet of visibility and suddenly goes down to 1 foot or 2, a lot of guys are thinking muddy water and they go all in on those bold colors. It can work, but understand that if your fish are used to that lower visibility anyway, a lot of times they're so well adapted that they just react better to, I mean, still a bold color, I suppose, but very natural. So I'm not suggesting you throw ghost minnow, but maybe you throw a white or a chrome as opposed to just a straight chartreuse or a chartreuse in black. And I really think that will help you be more consistent this spring. Now again, if you're on the lake that goes from one extreme to the other, you cannot get bright enough, bold enough, aggressive enough, loud enough to get those fish to find that bait. It's really funny how those different fisheries can behave differently. Now when it does get muddy, I mean, my main go-tos, my number one is a spinnerbait. Notice that it's still double willow. It takes a lot, I mean really dirty water, for me to stop throwing willow blades. I love willow blades and they can find them in that muddy water. So I went with a bright skirt, but a natural bait and still silver willows, even though it was muddy water, because I didn't want to go too far. And that's in a lake where I think this place is pretty darn clear most of the time. As far as the next one would be a chatterbait. And then the last one for me is the square bill. And let's see if I can drag this over here. This is the biggie. Most of you know that's one of my favorite square bills because it's loud. You get those aggressive colors. That's Delta Craw. This guy, one of my all-time favorites, cold-blooded. But just a bold square bill, a chatterbait, a spinnerbait, and just go to work. It's that traditional bass fishing that can be so much fun. Don't let muddy water get in your head. You know, today I avoided it, but it was because I didn't know the lake, not because I don't like the muddy water. In general, you want to embrace it and enjoy the fact that those fish are moved up and getting aggressive, and you can really have a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. We did not knock it out of the park. I caught 4. Unfortunately, you only got to see 3 of them. But it was fun to explore a new lake. I really enjoyed this. We'll definitely come back here under different conditions and when the water's a little bit warmer. Again, if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk to you soon.